questions that anyone's got, any things that sound too technical or anything that they want a bit more clarification on, put that through. Jess is with us here at the computer today, so she can make sure she catches those and throws those over to us. And joining me today is also Russell. So Jess, if you could just jump the camera across so that we can see Russell and say hello.
Morning all, very excited to be on the call today, and been working with Scott now for a number of years, and more recently on this latest project that we're working on, the fogging. Thank you very much.
Back again if you will, Jess. So thank you all. Let's pick up the baton now, as it were, and get rolling. So we'll start to talk about what we're picking up today. The topic today is fogging and what we're doing with the fogging. Now, I think the word in itself just needs a little bit of talking about. What is fogging? What is this thing we're talking about? Why are we here to talk about fogging? Well, principally, we're not, I suppose you could say we're not here to talk about fogging. We're here to talk about making your space safe. And I use the word space because we may say your workplace, but your workplace may be very different. So we've got a number of different people with us today, and we know from interested people and people we've been working with that a workspace may be a traditional office, it may be a soft play area, it may be a care home, it may be a number of different applications. But the thread that runs through it all is that we want that to be safe. We've had this challenging virus on us, and we want to make sure that the people coming back into the environment are kept safe. And the environment is at a place where we've got that sanitised and looked after so that people feel comfortable, people feel safe, and people feel confident to come back into that environment. So that's why fogger is just one component of that. So we're going to try and unpack some of this mystery today. We could move on to what are we going to call the thing? Is it a fogger? Well, I don't know how many names it's been given. It's been called a mister, so that's not a mister as a prefix, but a mister as in it kicks out a mist. It's called ULV, which is ultra low volume misting, cold fogging, so many different things it's been called. But for today, we're going to call it a fogger. And as you saw in the picture with Russell, there is a real live fogger with us, which we're going to get running in just a few minutes. So you'll be able to see how this little device works. But more importantly, how that fits into the picture, keeping your workplace or your space safe. So with that, why should we be talking about this? We've covered now, and let's go into how we're going to, or how we've been helping people make their spaces safe, and what the really simple two pieces that we work with are. So number one, we've got a liquid, a product, which we use, and in any environment, if you're going to kill a virus, you need to put some product against it. The fogger, or indeed a traditional, I'm going to call it a trigger spray that you might buy from the supermarket, is really the tool that you use to spread that liquid, which would then coat the virus and keep you safe. So I'm just going to unpack that mystery first. This is not something super technical of a machine that does something electrostatically or some incredible process like that. This is simply distributing, just like you would in your household when you clean your worktops and you put let's say a Dettol down to kill bacteria. We're putting a virucidal down to kill the virus. And the fogger is just one way of distributing that. And it does some very special things, which we'll explain, and does something that a trigger spray can't do. But nonetheless, I just wanted to unpack that mystery first. So if I'm going to hand over to Russell now, if that's all right, Russell, and you're going to talk us through the 2 or 3 different ways of distributing the product, which is a bit of a secret, which we'll then come back onto in just a moment.
Thank you, Scott. That's excellent. So there's, like as Scott's mentioned, there's 2 or 3 different ways of using the solution, and the fogging device is just one of those. So our solution comes packed in 3 different ways. There's the bulk misting solution, which we put through the fogging machine. And then there's 2 trigger sprays, which are very useful for using in the office environment, indeed in many environments. Their uses are quite different. There's the 500 ml bottle that we use, which has the spray head dispenses a larger particle. So this is used for cleaning large surfaces, such as a desk here in front of me. And then there's the fine spray bottle that we use. And this one is used more for high touch areas and things such as the telephone in the office and printers, that kind of thing. And the beauty of this is because the spray is so fine, it can just be left to dry. And I think Scott is now going to just touch a little bit more on the contact time and the kill rate of this solution.
Thanks, Russell. I'm still looking forward to seeing the fogger in action, but we'll have to wait a moment or two for that. So as you've just alluded to there, Russell, we'll run through the two magic numbers, as I like to call them, with any product you're looking at. One sounds a little bit technical, but I'm going to call it the log rate, which you may have seen on many, many bottles, the 99 point something. It might be 99.9. This one here has 4 numbers after the decimal point. So we're going to call that the log rate. And if you can see this on the screen, I'm going to put log 3 and a log 6. And we're going to unpack the mystery of what they look like and what the difference is between the two of them, because it does actually mean something how many 9s are on that string. The second is the contact time. Pretty obvious that that's how long the liquid needs to be in contact with that bug, that germ, that pathogen, to actually be effective, to actually kill it. So the contact time might vary from a traditional household product that we've used for many, many years, such as a Dettol, for example, which is a 5-minute contact time, down to some much, much more effective medical grade products, which are more like a 30-second contact time. So again, they're the two numbers we're going to look at, contact time, and we'll go from a 5 minutes, excuse the writing, to 30 seconds. Let's unpack the what we call the log reference here. So a log 3 will be 99.9%, and a log 6, and no, it's not a typo, is 99.9999. So lots of 9s. What this means in real simple terms is that if you had 1 million bugs, this would ensure no more than 1,000 are left. This would ensure no more than 1 are left. So you can see how much more effective, you might say it's 1,000 times more effective. In pure clinical terms, that's super important. But I don't want to get that out of perspective. If we now come to contact time, if you have a contact time of 5 minutes, that means when I spray this product onto my surface, whatever that surface is, a desk, a door handle or whatever, it's going to need that long before it will actually be effective. So I just want to, and I'm going to call this a bit of a mystery in the industry, you see a lot of times we might spray onto a handle and then instantly wipe it with a cloth. Please, please, if I can impart one bit of knowledge today, don't do that, because you need to give it that time to work before you then wipe it off. But the only reason you'd wipe it off is because it's left a wet residue. So if you've got a door handle, you don't want to spray, leaving it sopping wet, and then the next person to put their hand on it. But if you could, and for example, if the fogger was to put such a fine spray that it didn't leave a residue, and it was then left overnight to dry out, indeed sometimes it'll even dry in minutes with a fine spray, that's the best application to apply it and not actually wipe it off again afterwards. So a lot of people, you see them spraying, wiping straight away. Rule number 1, please, please, don't instantly wipe off. If you're going to do a door handle, put it on, allow the contact time, so all the better if it's got a shorter contact time, and then remove any excess liquid. And just a point to note on that, an e-cloth rather than a traditional lint cloth is better from not spreading any remaining particles over. So an e-cloth is a more effective wipe down after that contact time. So they're the two pieces to look out for, and any bottle you're picking up, it might say 99.9, like it does on, as I say, on many household cleaners, and it may well be quite a long contact time. Again, removing this mystery, even a traditional household bactericide cleaner, which is also a viricide, because we're dealing with a virus, not a bacteria, will still be effective. It's just not so effective, and it's not such an effective contact time. So just to give that some consideration, our product, yes, you've guessed it, is a log 6. It is a 30-second contact time, so quite an effective or a very effective product. We then come to how we spread that. So as Russell's shown us, you've got a traditional trigger spray, which you can then clean a simple area like a desk. But if we're to get into a room, how are we going to clean every little part of that room? How are we going to get to the parts where a trigger spray might not get to? Hence the reason the fogger is part of this. And I'm going to say some people think it's a mystery. It's not a mystery. It's simply a way of spreading it in a finer way and getting to the areas, because it fills the whole room with that mist, which will then settle onto areas and do its effective work. So Russell, back over to you.
Good. Now we come to the really exciting part of demonstrating the fogging unit. So it's a very, very simple piece of equipment to use. It's generally used as a floor standing fogger, so there's no need to carry it around the office whilst it's fogging. It can be set up and left in the room to do the job. As I say, very basic to use. The solution is filled at the back end here, and on the front end we have the nozzle, the valve to adjust the volume. Now, for basic fogging, this needs to be set somewhere between 1 and 2, but this should be adjusted, and it really depends on the humidity in the room. But what we want is to hardly be able to see the mist coming out, but you do want to be able to feel it. So we'll demonstrate that now. We're just going to mute the camera because this is quite noisy, but we'll let you just hear it at the end. So we'll do that now. So quite noisy, as you would have heard then. This unit does come with a very powerful fan, and that is necessary to atomize the solution into as small a particle as possible, which gives you the dry mist. So it will leave no residue. There'll be no damp feeling left on any surfaces. No paper will be damp, anything like that. It is a totally dry mist. Does that cover everything, Scott?
That's good, Russell. Thanks for that demonstration. So, as Russell said, it's a really simple little unit, and often when people see the unit, they say, "Well, it's quite small, isn't it? How is it actually effective?" And the simple fact is, yes, it is effective, and it's getting that particle size, which is the really critical thing of any fogger. There's probably many of these foggers out in the market that we've all looked at. We've looked at Amazon or wherever, and the simple thing it's doing is it's taking that liquid and turning it into such a fine particle. And then simply, if you have a much bigger area, you can multiply these units and have many of them working at the same time. So some of the different applications we've done, we've worked anywhere from play barns, where you've got a vast, many thousand square foot unit with quite complex play equipment, done at different phases. We've got offices where multiple machines are working at the same time. So there is ways of making this work, which is specific to your application. Which now brings us on to, Jess, if we can share back into the PowerPoint how we actually use all these different tools and bring the thing together into a solution. So what are my options? Well, we're just bringing that up on the screen. Just to cover off as to the liquid, why would we do it and what's it all about? Is a couple of the really critical points that I want to put forward just while that's coming up on the screen. The liquid, thanks Jess for that. The liquid is bleach free, it's alcohol free, it's not leaving a residue, it's not toxic, it's completely safe. So people say to me, wow, does it do anything? Well, actually in operation, it's almost like working with water, but it is effective. So it's very simple. In terms of COSH, I love the COSH document because it simply says, no, it's not dangerous for that, no, it's not dangerous for that. And there might be an application that we're working in many different ways, as we say. Let's say you're working in a nursery. It's not toxic, so you want something that those children aren't going to be, if you've got young infants crawling around and they perhaps pick up a toy and put it in the mouth or whatever, you don't want a toxic product left around. You may be in an office environment with some lovely seating there, and the fabric or the plants would get damaged by a traditional bleach, which would work, but it could leave some damage and indeed some residue on your desks. So we've got to pick the right product, and that's why if you get the right product and put that through the fogging equipment, it will not only be effective, but it also won't have any bad after effects like that. So as it says on the top of the slide here, it sanitizes. That's what we've been talking about. It kills those viruses. It deodorizes. Well, okay, maybe in some applications that's important, maybe in other applications not so important. But the really critical bit is it will slow pathogen regrowth. And this is the principle. This isn't unique to our product or secret to our product. If you do routine cleaning, just like you would do in a household environment, you would routinely clean your worktops after you've finished preparing food. It's just the same in an office environment. Just like we've been cleaning an office environment for some time, we're now putting in that extra layer of safety with the viricide to make sure anybody that's been in that office, if there's been any potential contact spreading, that's just putting that down as a safety net, as it were. Now, will it kill for some time? Does it have a promise of, you know, we've seen the promises of 30 days, 14 days, 2 months, whatever these different promises are. I would move aside from that and say, rather than say, yes, you're safe for a period of time, a routine is important that's right for your environment. So if you're in, and I'm going to use 2 different environments here, if you're in an office environment, the recommended frequency is either every 14 days or once per month, somewhere in that frequency band. If you're in, for example, a play environment, a nursery environment, I happen to know that the British Association of Learning and Play Areas recommend no more than every 2 hours. So whatever your space, whatever your workplace is, it might be really, really different. So get that right for your own environment, and then keep to that routine. And the keeping to that routine will reduce the pathogen count on your surfaces. So it's really easy to use. There's no more technicality to it than you've got to get the right product and be able to apply it to your area. And that simply, hopefully, is the unpacking of any mysteries there. We can just move forward just to the next slide. How do you go about it? How does the payment scheme work, as it were? So we have 3 basic packages. The number 1 is a monthly subscription. So starting at £125 per month, you get the fogging device, you get the hand sprayers, you get the little desk sprayers, you get the e-cloth, and you get the liquid. Everything comes together, and what you need for a monthly package for an office or an environment of approximately 15 to 20 persons. The next scheme, which is more effective if you've got much, much bigger areas, is the free loan scheme. So you get the equipment for free, like I said, all the package of equipment you need, and then you buy the product in much greater bulk. Moving on to the third scheme, you can, if you like, purchase the equipment yourself. So you may want multiple foggers, and you may want to then purchase the liquid as needed for sporadic use or perhaps much more frequent use, but you want to own the equipment. You can then buy the liquid in up to 45 litre drums. It can come in for very, very high use applications. So different ways of working depending on what's right for your environment and what works for you. So hopefully that unpacks some of the mysteries. I do want to say it's really, really not a technical product. It's like we've been cleaning for many years. This is a more advanced cleaning product. It is more effective. As we've said before, it's got that really fast contact time. But please, please don't think it's some technical, newfangled technology. It is simply the right product, put out around your environment in the right way, and it'll be effective. And with that, I'm going to just ask you, Jess, have any questions come in that we want to try and get answered? No? That's good. Well, a couple of moments for any questions. And other than that, while we're just waiting for those, I will just wrap up in saying we'll pass this some notes around to this afterwards, and the recording will be available. So if anyone's got any questions and they think, well, okay, just want a bit of advice on this, even if it seems a crazy question, or even if you think it's a question that's maybe not specifically related to our equipment and just generally some advice, some help, feel free to reach out to us. The email address is on there, comes through to the Fresh Office team. Any one of us can answer those. And if you need it, we can do live demos, and we could set the product up to show you how it works. Anything from a monthly subscription, as I say, or if you're ready to go for it, we've got the equipment and the product in stock. It's here in the warehouse, ready to go out to you. So with that, I'm going to thank you all, and we'll close for today. Thank you for joining me today, Russell, and thanks, Jess, for helping us out. And thank you, most importantly, to everyone who's joined us on the webinar today.